Hey YouTube, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to compare and contrast the situation with Kanye West to the situation with Megan Thee Stallion and sort of discuss and explore you know, topics within those situations as well. So I'm going to start with Kanye West because ultimately it leads to a good segue into the situation with Megan Thee Stallion in terms of comparing and contrasting. Right. So when it comes to Kanye West, um, I noticed a reaction, right? And a lot of people have been calling on black women to come through and come through strong for Kanye West, right? It's very interesting that, like, they know who to come to and who to turn to when they need help, right? Black women. Notice that the burden is always or almost always put on black women for some reason. And people are out here saying, particularly black men and some black women, black men and black women are saying, Kanye West needs a black woman. And I'm thinking, why now? Why now are people saying that? And also, has Kanye West expressed this sentiment himself? As far as I know, he hasn't. But yeah, notice like, oh, he needs a black woman. A black woman wouldn't have let this happen. Eh, and all that other noise and BS, right? And I'm not saying that there's not any truth in that, but again, I find it funny that when shit goes down, when shit gets real, when these niggas really need some help, and they themselves have quote unquote divested and you know went on to other groups of women, which is their choice. It's fine, whatever. We all have options and preferences and all that shit. But notice, who do they turn to for help when times get tough, when shit get real? They turn to the black women to come through and come through strong and save the day. you know and the thing is with that, it seems like folks recognize, or some recognize black women's worth and all that stuff only in terms of like meal ish type of shit. Like, oh, we need black women to support the black men against police brutality, as we have seen recently, right? Now we need a black woman to play therapist, counselor, healer, spiritual healer, the Kanye West, who has, you know, had like a somewhat of a history of saying problematic things relating to black people. Recently saying like, oh, Harriet Tubman didn't free slaves, and that slavery was a choice a while back. You know, I think he was using the Confederate flag in some artwork of his at one point or another, and he did not provide context into what he was using the Confederate flag for as well, and a lot of other stuff as well, right? The model casting that he did a while back, asking for basically exoticals only, to put it like, to just be straight up with it, right? No makeup, come as you are, right? You know, you know. But I see a lot of sympathy and empathy being shown to Kanye West because he suffers from, I believe, bipolar disorder. Um, and because he lost his mom like over 10 years ago, I think. And I'm like, in regards to losing his mother, I know that is probably, I'm sure that's a traumatic experience, to lose, a parent, um, you know, especially suddenly. However, I do think that Kanye West at this point in his life should have come to terms with that by now. Again, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but I'm just saying I think that he should have been able to come to terms with that at this point in his life. And if he has not, I think he should seek out some help of some kind. He has the money and the resources to do so. He can afford to take off some time from work. He can afford to pay some, high priced counselor, therapist, psychiatrist. He can afford to go on um, medication if need be. He can afford those things. So, in regards to that particular situation, I think that people are just, I don't know, wanting to bring that up as to help generate and create sympathy and empathy for him. And again, Kanye West isn't the only person that lost their mother suddenly. I'm sure there are a lot of people who can have stories to share about that as well and have had to go on with their life and move forward with their life still, right? Again, like you don't have to forget your mom or your parent or whoever, but you do have to come to terms with it. So yeah, I seen that being thrown out too in the air and into the social media sphere or whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, really? Like, yeah. So that's what I think about that. But in regards to the bipolar disorder, I believe that may be true. I believe there may be some truth into that. Um, However, again, Kanye West has a lot of resources. And as well, he married into a family that has a lot of resources as well. He can afford to go on, he can afford to get some type of counseling of some kind, cognitive behavioral therapy of some kind, medication of some kind. This may be like him going off of his medication, and this is why he's in this situation, which ultimately is his fault and perhaps his wife's fault, Kim Kardashian. Um, so I noticed that that's being pushed a lot, right? Like he has mental health issues, he's lost his mother, right? And therefore he deserves sympathy and empathy, and he deserves people to come out and help him. Especially black women. And it seems to be the people who they're wanting to help him. I don't really see people imploring non-black women or the Armenian community to come out and help Kanye West, or the exotical community to come out and help Kanye West, right? It seems to be people are calling on black women to do that. Not even black men, oddly enough. Not even black men. They ain't calling on his brothers. They ain't calling on his uncles, his father. Right? They calling on black women to come through and help. The Brotherhood has failed Kanye West. The Brotherhood don't give a fuck. Right? So, as I mentioned earlier in this video, Kanye West has not himself expressed this sentiment of wanting black women to help him. Therefore, for black women out there, don't go running to try and help Kanye West, all right? Especially when he didn't ask you, all right? Just for that fact alone, he didn't ask you for help. So don't give him your help. Because the thing is, when all this blows over, And let's say, black women come through and do help and patch him up and get him all good and whatnot. He's probably going to go right back to the situation with Kim Kardashian. And if you don't care, then okay, fine. But the thing is, he's saying that situation, he's been going on about that situation on social media for a minute. So I'm like, hmm, you know, if you were to, get better or whatever, would you go right back to that situation? Probably so. And then black women would be looking stupid, looking dumb out here, and again, it seems like folks only, some people only want to recognize your worth when it comes to basically mule work of some kind, muling, or, being a caregiver, right? Somehow when you're on the giving end, right? And again, they're not asking non-black women for help. They're not putting the burden on them. They're not putting the burden on the Armenian community. They're not even really putting the burden on Kim Kardashian and her family. Kim Kardashian, as his wife, she does have an obligation to help him. Maybe she has tried. I don't know. I don't really follow them like that. Perhaps she has tried and failed, and just like, it's only so much I can do, and it's over, it's done. I didn't even know they were living in two separate states. Kanye West mentioned something about living in Wyoming now. I'm like, what the hell? I thought he was living in California with Kim Kardashian. And then he was going on about the movie Get Out being about him and about, Kim and Chris, I guess trying to basically, they're doing what happened to that guy in Get Out, right? And, ultimately, Kanye West should have chosen better. He should have chosen a lot better. And I think Kanye West, he knew what he was getting into. Like, he knew what Kim Kardashian was about, right? He knew the type of energy, the type of people that, Kim Kardashian has around her. He knew enough about her family as well, right? But nevertheless, that's who he chose. And I don't think the burden should be on black women to play cleanup. Like, clean up crew, clean up women, clean up whatever. I don't think that should be on black women. And for the black women who want to take that task upon themselves, ultimately, you have the right to. I would strongly suggest that you don't. I strongly suggest that you save your energy and your time and your resources or whatever for people who really truly deserve it, and as well people who really truly need it. Like, again, Kanye West, he has a lot of resources available to him. He doesn't really need like this type of support coming from black women like that. Nor does he really deserve it as well, which is more importantly. But again, a lot of people, again, these Negroes, they know who to come to when they need help. They know who to turn to, right? And they ain't turning to non-black women to help. Nor are they even turning to other black men to help. They're turning to black women. Black women sometimes can be easily manipulated. People tugging on black women's heartstrings and triggering their maternal instinct and manipulating them with it. All right. But the thing is, you're going to play mom. And that's the thing. It's like you're going to end up playing mom. And when you end up playing mom, you're just going to end up raising your son to go out there and get a woman. Of course, like if you were his mom, you wouldn't expect your son to like want to have a relationship with you. right? Because you're his mom, right? But you would raise your son to go out and have, healthy, productive relationships with a woman, outside of the family, right? So again, I think black women, you got to be careful when you're playing mom to all these Negroes out here, equating every single black man as either being your son, your brother, your father, your husband, baby daddy, what have you, right? And also, again, when it comes to mental health issues, again, people are being trying to be really sympathetic and empathetic towards Kanye, but where is this same empathy and sympathy for, say, Azalea Banks, who has also done some problematic shit and said some problematic things, right? But you notice that folks they don't got that same concern for Azalea Banks, right? Azalea Banks is just, well, she's just a hater. She's a bitch, and we don't care. But the thing is, with Kanye, he's getting the sympathy and empathy for some reason from both black men and black women, right? And Kanye West was at a rally, and he was speaking about abortion and talking about his mother and his father wanting his mother to get an abortion when she was pregnant with him. And I'm like, okay, so your father had that bitch nigga spirit and didn't want to man up and take care of the kid that both of them created together. Okay, that happens. All right. Seemingly, his father has been absent from his life probably since inception at this point. I don't know. But he didn't have a relationship with his father, it's more so his mother, right? But even then, in that situation, a black woman had his back. She was like, she ain't gonna get an abortion. She gonna go through with the pregnancy. She gonna have a kid. She gonna raise the kid on her own if need be. And that's what she did. All right. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened during all. I don't know. Maybe her death happened, and you just went off the deep end or something. I don't know, but I don't know what happened. But nevertheless, that had come up, and then he was doing all these damn dramatics and saying that he almost killed his daughter because he might have inherited some of that bitch nigga spirit from his father, right? And he almost went through some similar shit like that, right? And then, as well, doing all this crying and shit, and I'm tired of crying niggas in the media. God damn it. Kanye crying about his dad trying to abort him and his mother refusing. Then, you know, another point in the rally, like a white woman was arguing with him, and it was all good in the hood. He was like, "What's up? You can can you hug me?" And she was like, "I don't know. I guess so." I guess, right? And then, when a black woman want to come through and act some real serious shit, then it's like, oh, she's stepping out of line. Oh, this black woman, she a problem now. And, oh, you wearing a mask, so we can't even see your face. Well, we're in the middle of a pandemic, first of all, so I think that would be a legit reason to wear a mask. But she also took it off, and then she took it off and said, "What's beef, nigga?" Well, she didn't say that part. But she did take off her mask, right? And let them know and let them see. Really, she shouldn't have really been at that event to begin with, all right? Other than just to troll, boo, maybe just to be a looky-loo and see what the fuck going on here, but not on some real serious shit though, So, that was her wake-up call. Don't be supporting this shit if she really is trying to support. And she's saying later on, she was saying like, oh, a Kanye West presidency ain't it. And I'm like, okay, hopefully it didn't take you going to this rally and um, getting called out by Kanye to realize that a Kanye presidency is not it. A Kanye West Kardashian presidency, because Kanye, he hyphenates, because he's a bad bitch. But hopefully it didn't take all that to know that a Kanye West presidency ain't it. Like really, let's imagine that. Let's entertain that idea for a moment. I know. Let's entertain that for just a moment though. What the hell would that really entail exactly? What would black people get from that? Black men or black women? And what would black people really get from that? Right? you know? And as well, who is voting for Kanye West exactly? Who would vote for Kanye West? I'm sure somebody would, but yeah, I don't think he would really receive much votes. I don't really think people take him seriously. And as well, if he really does have mental health issues, then I don't really think that he should be in the seat of a president. Right? I think he needs to be in the seat of a psychiatrist if he does indeed have mental health issues. But people love seeing a spectacle and a train wreck, so that's why they're here. That's why they're coming through, right? So again, Kanye West gets sympathy, Azealia Banks does not. All right. Now I sort of want to move on to the situation that has been happening with Megan Thee Stallion, and as well Tory Lanez, because he is definitely implicated in this one way or another. All right. So again, we all know what happened recently, and I just don't see people giving Megan Thee Stallion the type of concern that they're giving Kanye West. I mean, she herself has recently lost her mother and her grandmother. She herself perhaps could be experiencing some kind of mental health issue of her own in some way or another. At least, dealing with perhaps mourning, you know. And there are people coming through on some like respectability politics and being like, basically, Megan Thee Stallion ain't respectable enough to advocate for her and to protect her. And it's like, well, why not? Why isn't she? Because when it comes to black men and advocacy, and being deserving of advocacy, it seems like the bar is set really low. It seems like you pretty much just have to be a black man to get some advocacy. Right? He could be a thug. He could be a drug dealer. He could be a gangbanger. He could be a suspected or convicted sexual predator of some kind. He could be an absentee father, right? He could have a criminal background history that goes back quite a while, but still somehow, some way, he is deserving of sympathy, empathy, and advocacy and justice. But I don't see that really being applied to Megan Thee Stallion, and as well as other black women in general. It seems like when it comes to black women, it seems like you have to meet some criteria when it's black women. All of a sudden now, everything comes into play. Everything is scrutinized. Like the way that she dresses, her background, the men that she dates are interested in, right? The way that she conducts herself in public, right? If she's a musical artist, the type of music that she puts out, right? It seems like a lot is taken into account because I think when it comes to black women, the black community, both black men and black women, are looking for reasons not to advocate for her. While when it comes to black men, the black community is looking for reasons to advocate for him. That seems to be where they're, like, how they're approaching the situation. All right. So, again, notice that people, low-key, are trying to justify and downplay Tory Lanez allegedly shooting Megan. They're trying to put the blame on her, right? We've seen a lot of victim blaming going on in this situation with Megan Thee Stallion. And not to say that Megan doesn't hold some responsibility, but they seem to be trying to put all the responsibility on Megan and none of the blame on Tory. And, that's how things typically play out, right? When it comes to altercations and situations involving black men and black women, it seems like somehow if the black man is seemingly at fault, it's like, well, it was a reason why. If the black woman was at fault, then it's like, well, she is a bad person, right? It's like, if the black man is accused of being the aggressor, then against a black woman, then it seems like the black man is given the benefit of the doubt. If the black woman is accused of being the aggressor against a black man, she is not seemingly given that benefit of the doubt. But yeah, people are saying that, she attacked Tory Lanez. I don't know. These are just things that have been thrown out there in the media. But yeah, saying that, she attacked Tory Lanez. And somehow Kylie Jenner was thrown in there as well. And, she was attacking him and she was getting in on that nigga. God damn it. Because you see how Megan looked and you see how Tory looks. So, Tory was like, oh, help, help. And then he had to go get his gun and shoot Megan. Because, that was the only way he could get her off of him. Because he couldn't handle Megan on one-on-one type shit. He had to escalate the situation. Because Megan Thee Stallion, she was putting them hands on Tory Lanez. And Tory Lanez was like, no, please. Which, if that is true, then that's really something. Because really, I think that Tory Lanez being a man, or at least male, I think he should be able to check Megan without having to resort to a gun. Again, I'm not promoting violence against women or domestic violence or anything like that, but I don't think that it had to get to that level. But I guess maybe it did. I don't know. And then people coming through saying, oh, I thought that Megan was a savage. You ain't so big and bad now, is you, Megan? Right? People coming through on that like, oh, you should be able to handle this. Right? And then people saying, she twerking. She dresses really sexual and, wears really revealing clothing. And then people saying this is a rap beat, right? This is rappers do this all the time, right? Even though wasn't some rapper like Smoke Pop just recently shot or something like that, and I don't see folks talking about that like that. When these rappers end up getting shot and shit and whatnot, I don't see folks coming through talking about that's the life they lived. That was just part of what came with their lifestyle. I don't really see that being thrown around like that. All right. And then another thing that a lot of people have been saying that's been really, really disrespectful is like Megan Thee Stallion is a man. She is transgender. She is a tranny. and basically more or less saying that Megan Thee Stallion somehow is like transgender, and she tricked Tory Lanez, and Tory Lanez found out about it and shot her. All right, allegedly. Again, this is all alleged, just in case folks want to come through and try to sue a nigga. But this is allegedly. I'm going to put that out there. All of this is alleged. All right. And, I want to explore that for a moment, because that has been put out there. One person who really escalated that was the yesteryear has-been rapper Cameron. He came through and posted something about that on social media, and I think that really escalated that situation. And I want to address that right quick. I'll say that Megan Thee Stallion isn't the first woman or the first black woman to have transgendered rumors about her, right? Sierra at one point experienced that. Obviously, we know that Sierra is not transgender, right? As well, Jocelyn Hernandez has experienced that at one point or another. Obviously, she is not transgender. As well as Lady Gaga, Jamie Lee Curtis, as well. And I'm sure there's some other people too, but those are just some people I've heard about, and that I can name off the top of my head, right? But in regards to Megan, let's talk about that, all right? I think her name, particularly the stallion part of her name, isn't the best thing, because a stallion is technically a male horse that has not been castrated, from what I've heard. Or at the a male horse that has not been castrated, right? So yeah, maybe Megan just didn't know that stallions were only males and not both male and female. Perhaps I'll just say that, she was just ignorant, Another thing that comes up is her face. Megan, she does have somewhat of a strong face. And the thing is, when you are in the media, you're going to be wearing makeup. And if you have a strong face, especially if you're a woman, who has a strong face and you're wearing makeup, sometimes it's going to be a little bit difficult. Because I think with Megan, it's just that her face can't handle a lot of makeup. And I think she may be just trying to figure out what looks good for her, like what kind of like makeup style or whatever works for her, right? And that's probably going to be like a trial and error type of thing. I think Jocelyn Hernandez from Love and Hip Hop experienced something like that as well, when it was just the makeup artist just doing the makeup too strong or just too whatever, right? But yes, there's just women out there who just have a certain type of facial structure that just can't handle a lot of makeup. And I just think that they just have to be aware of that. All right. So I think that may be something at play. Another thing that may be at play is like maybe her having a bulky body somewhat. And I think that may possibly just come with, dressing right for your body type. But she is like curvy though, and I think that her curves are natural as well. I don't think she went out and bought any like curves. It seemed like her body is proportioned well, not like some build a thought workshop type body where it's like, oh, teeny bitty itty waist and some big ass booty in your face, As well, she has mentioned in some of her songs calling out like the women with fake bodies as well. All right. Another thing that comes up is like her persona. She is somewhat, maybe hood, ratchet, a bit more in your face, a bit more attitude, right? So I think that may be at play, right? Because I think she'll beat a nigga up or something like that. Maybe she just grew up in an environment where she just wasn't allowed to flourish within her femininity. Maybe she had to, defend herself and get at niggas, that could be a possibility. It's not like the black community really fosters an environment where black women can be, feminine, dainty, um, flowery women who, just can rest in femininity. And another thing is, like, she's, I think, participating as a judge on like a drag queen show or something like that. So I think that as well. But ultimately, I don't think that Megan Thee Stallion is transgender or was born a man or anything like that. It's just that, some of those things coming together, it just, but, that's just what people are thinking. But again, I just don't think that's the case, right? And again, like when Megan Thee Stallion was out here twerking and shit and being sexual and shit and all that shit, I don't remember the dudes who was liking it. I don't remember them coming through and saying she a dude or she was previously a dude, right? As well, even more so, like, remember a while ago, back in maybe like January or February, earlier this year, where when she was in some photos with the rapper G-Eazy, who's white, and black people, both black men and black women. I don't know why black women are getting mad, but black people got mad when she was in those photos with G-Eazy. I don't remember people bringing up, oh, Megan Thee Stallion, a man, she a tranny. I don't remember that being brought up. And if you thought that way, then why are you getting mad? Like, wouldn't it be like, oh, go ahead and take that. Go ahead and take that. We don't want that, right? But folks wasn't acting like that, right? So I think like people are bringing this up just to sort of have a reason not to advocate for Megan Thee Stallion and to defend Tory Lanez, right? And for some ha-has and he-he's too, right? But also, something to note there, um, when a non-black man, especially a white man, seemingly expressed interest in her, black men started checking for Megan, or either started checking more for Megan. Notice that. And I know that's something that the black community, both black men and black women, don't want to admit, but when other groups of men show interest in black women, it seemingly shows it, pretty much it ups their stock, for lack of a better phrase, right? Makes them seem more desirable, right? Because I guess if you really think about it, that's sort of how, supply and demand works. When people express desires for something and want something, it does kind of like up something's value, right? But another thing I want to address right quick, because I've been seeing this conversation happening in black women's spaces on YouTube some, where it's like black women who were born biologically black women, a segment trying to push the notion that both black women and transgendered black women are the same and should be considered the same, interchangeable, and both of them should have the same spaces. I've seen that being pushed around for a while, a minute now. And there are some women who are pushing back against that. Some biologically born black women who are pushing back against that, right? But the women who are saying it and who are advocating for it, the black women, saying that, black women experience transphobia too, so we the same. That seemingly seems to be part of the argument of wanting to seemingly make transgender black women and black women the same, quote unquote, and interchangeable, right? And I'm just like, black women, you are far too generous. You are far too generous, especially to people who do not reciprocate the generosity to you, right? Because really, that could be a whole video in itself, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. But the thing is, I don't think it's being mean to differentiate between the two. All right. There's a difference. And as well, in order for trans women to advocate for issues that affect them specifically and that are specifically to trans women, they have to identify themselves as trans women in order to get that advocacy, right? Just as biological women have to identify as biological women. There are some issues that do intersect, but there are issues that don't, right? Black men and black women have issues that intersect with each other, but there's a difference between a black man and a black woman, right? We know that. So we have to make the distinction. We have to make the differentiation. That's not being mean. That's just being factual ultimately, right? And as well, again, there are some black women who are trying to share and I guess share their experiences with perhaps people clocking them as a dude or maybe saying that they're masculine and saying, oh, they've experienced transphobia. And like, I don't really think that's the case. I mean, perhaps someone maybe say that you was masculine or perhaps even maybe misgendered you. But the thing is, you're not a transgendered woman. You're a biologically born black woman. All right. And also, like, what do you gain from this, I guess, alliance, if we want to call it that exactly? What would you gain exactly? Because I know what the transgendered women would gain, but what would you gain exactly? You have to ask that question. You know, what's in it for me? All right. But I bring all this up to relate this back to the Megan Thee Stallion situation. All right. And that is, I don't think I've seen black or non-black trans women. You know, I haven't seen the transgender women community come out and defend Megan against quote unquote transphobia. I haven't seen that. You know, a lot of these trans women saying they the same, you know, they your sister and all that shit. Right. But so far I haven't seen them come through with shit. You know, they concentrating on issues that affect them and theirs. Right. And you know, you don't want to open up the community or your space rather and be marginalized in your own space. That already happens enough as it is. And also, you know how this is going to play out. The trans women are going to jump in and out of being women and trans women when convenient. Just like the biracial women and the, jump in and out of blackness when convenient. You know, really biracial people, but I really see that especially with the women though, right? Going to jump in and out of it when it's convenient to them, right? They'll come through when there's something to gain from the shit, but when shit get real, when it's time for them to do some work or whatever on your behalf, right? So I'm going to, in that video or in this video on that note, I don't think I really have much else to say. I guess I can say one more thing, and I kind of want to bring this up to black women, is that, Megan Thee Stallion isn't really an isolated incident. Megan Thee Stallion and black woman, it's not too much of a difference between the two of you, believe it or not. The same shit that's happening to Megan Thee Stallion could be happening to you, right? And as well, I mentioned something about respectability politics and, listing off the reasons why folks didn't want to come through and advocate for Megan, right? But let's bring up Gayle King. We all know the situation that happened with her. Gayle King, she was doing an interview with Lisa Leslie, asked a question about Kobe Bryant and the rape allegations and whatever. And the black community, black men and black women, black men leading the charge, came for Gail and threatened her with violence, right? It was all good in the hood, right? But the thing is, she just asked a question. She just asked a question, And again, like Gail King, she is not out here twerking, right? She ain't calling herself a savage, right? Um, she dresses respectably, right? Um, and pretty much hits all the boxes when it comes to respectability and respectability politics. But still, she was still threatened with violence, right? No one was really coming to her defense like that, right? I mean, some people did. I won't say like nobody did, because some people did. Um, but there was a lot more people that were coming at her, though, right? And I guess I can speak on a couple of more things that have popped up, and you know, 50 Cent coming at Megan Thee Stallion again, Cameron, Drea Michelle saying what she said about it too, and I think they were like maybe cool or something at one point or another. I saw them in a video together, but that's something too you got to be aware of. Megan is like, all these motherfuckers in your space and coming through, getting a photo op with you, getting some video footage with you or whatever. Where they at? I just want to, where they at now when you need somebody, all right? But I will say, there were some black men who, and some folks, I say some black men in particular as well as some people, who came through and showed support. Ebro from Ebro in the Morning, Hot 97, he came through and showed support for Megan Thee Stallion. Wale, he did as well. Little Yachty, he did as well. So there are some, but the thing is, like, it's not enough to counter, the anti-support that she's getting, or whatever you call it. So, but I do just want to put that out there, right? But hopefully Megan gets a lesson from this. Hopefully it seems like she's getting out of that mindset of, protecting predators, because she does have somewhat of a history of doing that. At least once, and maybe more. You but hopefully, hopefully Megan makes a full recovery and lives to twerk again, and hopefully justice is served, and hopefully everything works out. I'm going to bring this video to a close. Thanks for watching. I know it's a bit long, so thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.